unlike us, David
Dastmalchian,
his character will do anything to be a success. We don't care.
Yeah,
I mean,
I've
our
been
lighting
willing to
is
whore
cheap.
out for
Yeah,
less.
yeah. We're not making deals with anybody to be a successful show.
Yeah,
yeah. So we're gonna try to find what David's gonna do to be a success with one of the hits. Could it be a possibly hit horror film of 2024? Late Night with the Devil.
Hello, my name is Kyle Goethe, and I'm willing to whore out for your $100 Patreon joining us. Welcome back to the show.
And I want to thank the people. I went to see this at midnight on a Friday night. I want to thank it was a packed crowd, and everybody was best behaved. We all thank you for not if you really want to see a horror movie, go to midnight, and those fans will be there, and they know the etiquette of watching a movie with it.
See, I saw it at noon with a bunch of older people, and they were enjoying the hell out of it because it was set in the 70s.
There you go. There you go. All right. I'm Nick from the St. Paul Filmcast. Thanks for watching, and thanks for finding us, and thank you for enjoying our show. And, of course, we do have a Patreon. Check that out for more content and great deals. And, of course, we're members of the Minnesota Film Critics Alliance. Check out the webpage for critics reviews as well as ours. And as if anybody who didn't know what the hell is going on with Late Night with the Devil, because it's in the title.
Sounds like a romance
novel. It's in the title.
With his ratings struggling at the tail end of the 1970s, late-night host Jack Delroy resorts to extreme measures with his Halloween episode, Call Forth a Demon, and just see what happens. Hey, it's live TV after all.
Okay, so I was born in 1977, and I know a little bit about TV, even though I was very, very young. From the late 70s, early 80s, after Johnny Carson was on, which was probably 11 o'clock anywhere you were, late night TV was pretty much a YouTube. You could have anything on. It was It's pretty much Jerry Springer jacked up. You had Nazis on there. You had racism and all this stuff. You had seances. You had people believing ghosts and all this stuff. And
hey, don't you put the ghost people with the Nazis, okay?
It's just a motley assessment, right? Right. Don't put the Nazis with the... Right.
Those are good ghost hunters.
I'm just saying, it was a motley sort of people that were just out of their minds, right?
Oh, yeah.
You know, they're like, please go to therapy.
Parents go to bed, everyone else wakes up.
And then it got even with cable. I believe the people that did this movie had that kernel of mind of what was television late night in the late 70s. And that's a good source material. Also in the 70s, the devil had a hell of a time, man. Mm-hmm. He had a party. I mean, for Rosemary's Baby, Exorcist, any movie that you did, horror movie in the 70s, the devil was kind of a part of it.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
He was a baby daddy.
So it's a wonderful marriage of this ridiculous thing of late night TV and with the devil. Yeah.
Yeah, and I was initially a little concerned when I saw IFC Films was related to the film because I think IFC tends to produce really great conceptual films that don't always seem to execute well.
How many production things do we have before the big movie started?
Oh, yes. I definitely saw that.
It was that Family Guy joke.
Yeah, exactly. I was thinking the same thing. Yeah.
There's like 20 of them. It's beautiful.
I mean, sometimes it takes a village, man.
Right,
even if it's one single location village.
All right. So I just want to catch off the back. Just what's your all take of this? Because I've been waiting for a year. I knew this was kicked around the film festival.
So I've been waiting a while this year for a solid horror movie.
And I think I brought it to your attention last year. Like, what?
South by Southwest, it was floating around. I had a couple friends of mine that were at South by Southwest. They'd mentioned it on their channels, and I was like, okay, that's a thing. I know you'd said that you were interested in seeing it, but it was also one of those things where, like, what stood out to me was David Dastmalchian, because I have been a fan of his for years, and I've been waiting to see him get anything other than the 15th billed person in a cast. He's the thing is, like, but he's also got this natural charisma. He loves the genre. He appears in Oscar-nominated films like Dune. He appears in Oscar-winning films for Best Picture like Oppenheimer. And yet he's in MCU and he's in DCU. He was in The Dark Knight. Like, the man has just pervaded a ton of content. He also hosts the Chainsaw Awards that the Fangoria has held for the last couple of years. He actually hosts that award show every year. He wrote an article for Fangoria about late-night TV horror hosts. And that was what brought him to the attention of the Caron brothers who directed this film. Yeah. And I just think it's about damn time, and I'm hoping this isn't the last time we see him leading a film.
No, I think this is his time to shine. He does everything. He does the whole spectrum. I think this is a wonderful show that he can actually carry, not only star in a movie, he can carry it.
Yeah, because this is really a one-man show in a large amount of time. Because if his performance doesn't work, then the film doesn't matter what else is working in it, because the main guy would be just a terrible person to be paying attention to. He's fantastic.
When I was watching this, it just bogged my mind. This is almost like Network. It's David, it's Jack Delroy. It's kind of like Howard Beale and failed Faye Dunaway mixed together, right? I'll do anything for ratings, but he's also the man on TV.
Yeah. And the choice to make this thing as a found footage film, like a piece of recovered tape. Found footage is something that kind of carries a nasty connotation now because it's been done to death, and it's because it's the easy, cheap thing to do when you don't have budget and you don't have the precision skills.
And I would say that was the most interesting part when it's like cut and it's supposed to go to commercial. And that was pretty much the interesting little tidbits.
That would be my one problem with that found footage aspect is because they introduce it, they set up the rules of what it is, and they spend a long time with that narrator, who was Michael Ironside, by the way, narrating the opening of the film, giving us all the backstory and telling us what we're about to watch. We get into that
and the
found
magazine
footage
covers
piece.
and all that stuff.
I really wish that they hadn't broken that found footage as often as they did. There was a lot of times where they went to commercial break. I didn't mind that so much, but it would have been better to have like the camera just still rolling during that, as opposed to cutting to this kind of like ethereal looking outside the camera part. And there's a big sequence near the end of the film where they completely go out of the found footage, and I wish they hadn't done that, because I think the test of it would have been a lot more interesting if they just kept to the found footage aspect of it. It's just a nitpick, but I just happen to believe when you do found footage, like I'm a real big stickler for sticking to it then.
My only nitpick is there's not enough smoking. Everybody should have been smoking.
The audience should have been smoking. Cancer, like, process.
And the only thing is the kid didn't even have like secondhand voice smoke.
She did during that like 30 seconds in the chair.
But obviously, if it was really late night, she would probably during cut, the kid would probably run around trying to grab cigarettes and take a puff.
Yeah, when are we back?
That's my only criticism. You need to add more smoking into it and a lot more drink into it, which is a funny gag. I do like that. Can I have a water? Water? Where?
Yeah.
Right. Yeah, this is a show, right.
But I appreciate that it sets up. That's one of the beautiful things when you have found footage, is that you get the ability to pretty much just explain the beginning of the film and set the rules for it. I like that was done. We get his entire life before he comes on the stage. It is a large setup sequence, but I think that's important. I also think it sets you up as a viewer to know that this movie is going to be a slow burn. And that has to be the attitude you go into it with, because it's a 90-minute TV episode that will have stuff at the beginning that needs to build, because they don't immediately bring out this devil thing. They bring out a bunch of other guests. They have some interactions. Again, that wouldn't work if there wasn't some strong, supporting cast in there as well. But there's a lot of setup to the film, and there's a lot of slow burn aspect to it. But if that's something that works for you, then I really think this film will. I was really taken with the whole thing, and by the end of it, I was kind of clapping with glee.
Yeah, and it went exactly where it needed to go. I mean, obviously, it's very new, it's very original, but there's things very familiar to it.
Yeah, I think it's just the idea that we very rarely get found footage done in this way, with this kind of a setup. It reminded me of, I think it's called Ghost Watch, which was a fake live broadcast of entering a haunted house that came out in the 90s. And that was a whole thing where people were calling the network when it aired on television because they were terrified of what was actually really happening. They had done such a convincing job. If there's one problem with having David Dastmalchian in the film, it's that he's recognizable. So it kind of reminds you you're watching a movie. It didn't bother me a whole lot, but because he is a solid actor, and I was happy to see him. But it was one of those things where you can kind of just have this be something that you could watch every Halloween.
Yeah,
I like that.
And there's a sense of his personal life is a wreck, but he's really shines on stage. But he's even this personal life is somehow connected to this almost entanglement that it's never going to be a success, because personally your life has been a not success, and maybe what you've done caused your wife to be gone. Go away, and then all the other things of, well, is it true or not true? He has a counterpoint guest always on that he actually is good friends with. I do like all the entanglements that are involved with the storyline, and all of it kind of just bursts out, literally.
Yeah. And I think that really helps when you have strong interactions from people. Yeah. June, the doctor who performs the seance, is played by Laura Gordon, who has done some genre work. She was in Saw 5. Not a lot of Saw 5 because she got decapitated about 5 minutes in, but she was in the film. Right. You also have Ian Bliss. He's the one who plays Carmichael Haig, who is the skeptic of the film. For Matrix fans, he was the member of the Resistance who gets invaded with Agent Smith in the second and third films of that. So it's kind of cool to see him coming back, and he's got that same kind of rude, asshole-ish attitude that I really dug. There's a nice cast of people here, that people you may recognize, people you may not. I also really liked Rhys Auteri, who played Gus, his kind of second guy that he was going back and forth with.
His
his
sidekick, kind of?
co-host, his sidekick, if you
Yeah,
will.
and he always beat up on that co-host.
Yeah, I
Sidekick.
really liked their interaction. They had a really strong chemistry.
Yeah, and a nice appearance by a theremin.
Yeah, we got some theremin action.
Theremin
baby.
action.
Yeah.
I always forget. I want to buy one eventually.
Oh my God, it was Chekhov's theremin. They set it up as if it was going to make a loud noise, and then it eventually did. Oh, I love a good Chekhov.
Check it out there. Yes. So, of course, this is probably going to be on Shudder by the time we release this episode. So check it out.
April 19th.
Check it out on Shudder as well. And right now, I would say for mid-year, it's going to probably be in my top 10.
Well, yeah, right now I really only have 3 movies this year that I out and out am excited to talk about. One of them was Dune Part 2 that we've previously discussed. Another movie that just came out recently called Problemista, which is wonderful.
Oh.
And this film, which would be my 3rd favorite of the year so far. It's still early on in the year. Yeah. I would hope that this film can maybe stick the landing for the finale of the year, but it's just too early to tell. So far, I really dug Late Night with the Devil.
Yeah. So, are you watching us late night on YouTube?
Why not? Come back at midnight, watch us late night.
And you should be heavily smoking while you watch.
We'll tell some inappropriate jokes, and then you can join the Patreon.
Right.
So thank you so much for joining us on this late night with these devils. You can find all of my film reviews over at goatfilmreviews.com.
Oh, man. There should be some kind of... I don't know how they do it. There should be some kind of a sequel to this.
Oh, you could do another... Yeah. Oh, you could definitely do something.
Yeah.
We're writing.